Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Ali Moreno here in the studio. Shocking news today. Nobody saw it coming. Trent Alexander-Arnold is joining Real Madrid and leaving Liverpool in the summer. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but we'll kick things off by looking ahead to that second leg between Barcelona and Inter. Remember, 3-3. It finished at the Montjuic. Very much all to play for. Here's Hansi Flick.
They are a strong team, very experienced team, but also they love to play football. How the automatism they have, it's really tough to defend. And for us, tomorrow will be everyone has to be included in the defense, and this is the most important thing. What we have to do, the set pieces we have to defend much better, and we will change something. So this is I could say.
Jan's here. Everyone's here. Jan, Mario, and Jules all join us. Jan, it's interesting, isn't it? No matter who you support, no matter what league you prefer, this is must-watch tomorrow, isn't it?
It's unbelievable, and I guess Barcelona under Flick has been unbelievable all the time. I'm not only talking about the individuals, the way he set up his team, the way he do that fantastic high line. It's successful, but you really, can this go all the way? Can they just keep on playing like this? And when they were down in the first leg, they came back, and we haven't even started about the individuals. If you don't love Barcelona, you don't love football. And that's my statement of the night.
That goes very well to everyone who says that we hate Real Madrid. Thank you very much, Jan. What's interesting, and Jan mentioned it, Mario, obviously the high line, that back four, have worked for most of the time great this season. The problem is when you miss a part of it. So we know Balde, for example, will be out for the game tomorrow. It seems that whoever Flick brings in, it's very difficult for them to kind of hit the ground running when it comes to this sort of tactic. How does Flick address that tomorrow? How would you do it?
No, you know what the biggest problem is? Of course, the rhythm of the team. He's going to, the rhythm of the team is going to kill it. It doesn't matter if you play all the time or if you just come in, you understand, it doesn't matter. The problem now for them is like, can they pick up the speed straight away when they come in? That is going to be, one of the key things that you're gonna ask them. You understand? Because like, whoever, if you play, like if you substitute, the key thing is also the connection between Yamal and Koundé. Because if you take the guy away, Koundé take away, he is also directing him and telling him, certain things that you don't have to do, what you do have to do when you play with a younger one. So I think that is going to be one of the key questions. And who you're going to put there, that is the question. Would you put a young boy like Ford there? Garcia? They have too many things now to answer, and we have to see what Flick wants to do. Because the question is going to be, how are you going to start this game? Because he's going to meet a team. Oh my God, I love Barcelona, just like Hans said, but playing against Italy in Italy, against Inter, in Italy, that's going to be tough.
So there's talk maybe Inigo Martinez can play at right back, bring Araujo into the centre. Like, how do you fix all this?
There are a lot of pieces that you have to move around, and we saw what his initial sort of attempt to try to fix this issue was. So people may think, well, this guy is missing, so that's it. No, this guy is missing, so it also means he changes here, he goes there, he goes over there, and now essentially you have a whole new back four. So how do you actually become solid defensively if you haven't worked together? What I would say is that that's impossible to do in a span of a week or less than that. It's important then that Barcelona are at their very, very best, at their very sharpest as possible in the midfield. The possession of Barcelona has to be so clean tomorrow so that they don't lose the ball in a bad area, and then Inter are able to spring a counterattack that can expose this back line that doesn't know how to coordinate their movements because they haven't played together. If you're thinking we're going to depend on this back line and this is how we're going to get through your Barcelona, I think you're missing the point. You got to then lean on what really works for you, and it's going to have to be the midfield and your attacking third player.
Hey, it could be the great scenario. You score 3, we score 4, Jules. And what's interesting as we take a look at what's going on at the top end is Robert Lewandowski has travelled. He obviously has been out for the last couple of weeks. It'd be interesting to see how Flick deploys his veteran up front.
Yeah, you're right. And from what we've been told, it should not start tomorrow. Ferran Torres will start up front, and you keep Lewandowski on the bench. You might need him, you might not need him. You might need him for 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Obviously, there's the Clásico coming at the weekend too, and that's also somewhere in the back of Flick's mind when it comes to somebody like Robert Lewandowski and his fitness as well. So I think it's probably a given that Torres, who played well in the first leg, offers something different, obviously, to Lewandowski, maybe more mobile, younger, probably better maybe in some moments of pressing and counter-pressing. And then you always have Lewandowski that you can call upon if you need to at some point in the game.
That first leg, of course, was once again when Lamine Yamal not only got the attention of people watching the Champions League, but just of sports fans all around the world, given his age, given the confidence that he played with. Here is Inzaghi ahead of the game about the youngster.
Ma chiaramente è difficilissimo, chiaramente dovremmo cercare di non fargli arrivare palla, ma è impossibile nel calcio d'oggi. Sicuramente sarà un osservato speciale, sarà chiaramente raddoppiato, cercheremo di attenzionarlo, però come ho detto nella gara di andata che l'avevamo visto dal vero, è un grandissimo talento, alla sua età, 17 anni, è veramente pericolosissimo quando ha la palla. Tutta la squadra nei momenti difficili gli danno la palla, e quello che mi ha impressionato di più di lui è la velocità di pensiero che ha. Insomma, quando riceve palla sa già in una frazione di secondo cosa fare la giocata seguente, quindi sarà un osservato speciale come tantissimi altri giocatori del Barcellona.
How do you stop him, Mario?
It's very difficult. You know, when you play against a young kid like that, you know, he has no fear then. You know, when you play against a player, no fear, that is, for me, that's where football starts. When you play against someone like that. And then what he said, you know, Inzaghi said the key thing. The kid knows exactly what he wants.
Oh, wow. Hold on, you got personal now.
Oh, what a question. That I can't answer that.
Of course you can answer it. Of course you can.
Who do I like most of this show, Dan or Al? This is a tough one.
That's
for me.
easy.
That's definitely
no, but just to add to Mario, what I think is impressive with this guy is not only he's dancing. He's doing this against Inter. He's not doing this in a training session or a futsal competition at Christmas with some friends. He's doing it in the Champions League final against Inter. And what I think is so amazing with this kid. Balance fantastic, the way he danced, the tricks, everything. But he's so mature. He's so an intelligent player. So what he's doing, he's just doing it. Yes, I understand when you are 17, you don't have all the worries in the world. But wow, he is experienced. Was it 100 games for Barcelona soon, or 100 games in his career? It's like unbelievable. And the decisions he's making out there, you forget that he's a young kid. I mean, he's so intelligent what he's doing. His perception, knows where he is, as Mario was saying, before he gets the ball and all that kind of thing. I mean, I will not try to compare it with a guy called Lionel Messi, because we don't have to talk about pressure and all those kind of things. But wow, I think I've only seen that by Lionel Messi, the way he kind of find himself on the pitch when he receives the ball.
You refused to answer my question, but I think you did answer it, didn't you, Jan? Let's take a look at everyone's predictions, shall we then? Going into the second leg. It's split. It is split. Three of us think Inter, myself, Jan and Craig. Meanwhile, Ali, Jules and Mario believe it will be Barcelona. I'm the only one who thinks Inter's actually going to win on the night.
All right.
Take us through it, Ali. Why are they going to get it done?
Well, because I don't think that, and I'm quoting Inzaghi, the observato speciale, the special surveillance.
He's kind of a bit sexier when he says it.
Well, he also has better hair.
Well, yes.
I think the hair helps. The hair helps. I don't think that's quite going to work out. Inter, what has been surprising about Inter in this run in Champions League, both against Bayern Munich and Barcelona, is how many chances they have afforded the opposition. Barcelona had multiple opportunities in that first game. Bayern Munich had an inordinate amount of opportunities to get through past Inter. So as good as we think that they are defensively, they are vulnerable. they have issues themselves. We think about Barcelona having issues defensively. I think Barcelona will threaten Inter, will create chances, will score the goals, and will do enough to win it. The one thing that concerns me about Barcelona is defending set pieces. And if I'm Hansi Flick, this is what I would do. I love, if I'm usually putting together a set-piece defending session, I like man-to-man marking. I like to put the responsibility on a guy. This is who you have. This is who you pick up. In this case, I would move away from that because physically, Barcelona cannot match up one-to-one. So what do? You have the little guys, whoever the little guys are, Pedri, Fermín López, Dani Olmo, whoever, Frenkie de Jong, slow down the big guys from Inter in a set piece so that they don't get a free run. And then your big guys, Ronald Araujo, Íñigo Martínez, Eric Garcia, if Lewandowski plays, you go and attack the ball. You concern yourself with attacking the ball. We'll disrupt the run here. You attack the ball. That's how I would address set pieces. But that is an area that Barcelona has to address if they're going to be successful tomorrow.
Jan, you don't think it will be Barca. You think it's Inter that's going to go through?
Yeah, I do think that. I mean, there's something to do with San Siro. I played Inter in the European Cup like 100 years ago, where San Siro was closed and we had to play in Genova. But I'm working there a lot of times as a journalist, and when that stadium get going, that is the only margin I will see on Inter, and I've tipped them to win the Champions League, so I have to stick with that. But it's 100% that Barcelona will score tomorrow. We all know that, and as Al was saying, I was watching the game, Bayern Munich there. Bayern Munich created chances there. So I think that Barcelona will do that. And just to add, I think that Barcelona flick is quite simple on that. As long as we have the ball, Inter can't score. That is a cliche, but that's how we will go out there tomorrow. And he has the players to do that.
The winner of course, will face either Arsenal or PSG in the final. Let's just take a look at Jan, Marius and Jules. They've all got PSG to advance. Jules has got a sweat, of course, as a draw. You can hear Ali's prediction tomorrow. Oh. That'll be very exciting.
What about yours?
Yeah, I suppose. Oh. Who'd have thought this, hey? Trent Alexander-Arnold is leaving Liverpool and will play for Real Madrid next season, according to reports. Of course, incredible time at Liverpool, winning the Champions League and winning the Premier League as well. For more on this, we got Jules, Mario and Jan. Jan, I suppose let's look forward, shall we? Because we've talked a lot about Trent, because this obviously was no secret to anyone. Is he the sort of player that Xavi Alonso wants, and how will he use him when he takes over at Real Madrid?
Well, the thing is, at the moment with Real Madrid, there's like a young Galactico they're putting together, and we've seen lately that the way they tried to do it didn't work. But I think that quarterback foot of Trent Alexander-Arnold will fit big time in there. I think it's also good for him that it all seems, I just spoke to a local journalist in Leverkusen today. They're not 100% sure, but Alonso says in every interview, I can't say anything now. I think that he is waiting as well. I think that Paris are waiting for Ancelotti not just to throw him out, but do it in a proper way. But I think he will fit perfectly there. Although, Dan, we know the history. Last time they tried to make that Galactico when they forgot certain kind of players.
Yes.
But his foot by Real Madrid, I mean, there are some of these strikers there who just so look forward to him coming. It's a dream come true for every striker to play with a player like that.
So we've seen Alonso play 5 at the back, 4 at the back. He's kind of mixed it up throughout the season. How does Alexander fit in to these tactics? And is he a right back, or is he someone that comes in the centre? Like, where would he be deployed?
Okay. I don't think you can play Trent Alexander-Arnold as a wing back.
Right.
Because that gives him a whole lot of responsibility defensively down that right-hand side. And I think we can all agree that that's not the strength of his game. So then you think about what Real Madrid are right now, and definitely 100% this is an upgrade to whatever they got today. They have Lucas Vázquez playing right back.
Yes.
So, yes, this is an upgrade to Lucas Vázquez, but it's a downgrade to the needs of Real Madrid. They need an actual defender.
It's not an upgrade, by the way, on Dani Carvajal, is it?
No, it is not. And I was going to get to that point, that you sort of have to wait as to what the recovery is going to be for Dani Carvajal. And if Dani Carvajal is fit 100% ready to go, Dani Carvajal will play ahead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I have no doubts at all, because you need some of the defending from Dani Carvajal that you're not going to get from Trent Alexander-Arnold. If you talk about the issues that Real Madrid has had this season beyond the injuries, it's the lack of structure and the organization and their inability to defend transition. Trent Alexander-Arnold is not that guy. He's not that guy. He's not the transition guy. Because you know what he's more likely to be doing? What the other guys are doing. What Vini and Mbappe and Bellingham and all of those guys are doing, which is not tracking back. This is an upgrade to Lucas Vázquez. It is not an upgrade to Dani Carvajal. And it's not an upgrade to the needs of the team. And the team needs more defensive presence. Alexander-Arnold does not provide that.
It's not quite the sunshine and sangria move, Jules, that maybe it was a few months ago, given what has happened to Real Madrid internally over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, for Trent, it's still very attractive, obviously, and very appealing to go and play with his mate Bellingham in what is the biggest club in the world and all of that. I get that. On the Real Madrid side, I know he's a free agent, although there would be a big signing on fee, obviously, and big wages too. But I agree with Ali. Is he really the guy that you need right now, even as a free agent, in terms of balance, yet in terms of control with the ball? I'm sure Xabi Alonso would find a way of getting him involved so much that there will be more control for this team with the ball than they have now. But it's just another component that I'm not sure really fits in that side of the defense, for example. But we expect more coming from Real Madrid this summer in terms of recruitment, probably a central midfielder, more defensive-minded, another centre-back for sure. So let's wait maybe once we have all the new signings that they have and see how it all fits. But it's true that in terms of balance and what Trent will bring without the ball defensively, let's just hope that Real Madrid know exactly what they're getting.
How much does this make Real Madrid better, Mario?
It will make them better because, you know, it's a team that has the ball, right? So I think the football is playing on the ball. When they don't have the ball, that's what the guys already highlighted, that the question mark will be, how are they going to cope with that situation? Carvajal, yeah, of course, because defensively, you understand, we know what he has done. So it's not like we calling a name out of surprise. No, that's the guy that he knows how to defend and how to make it stable. But for Trent to come there, it's always like that. When you come to Real Madrid, it doesn't mean that you're going to fit in straight away. Maybe he needs more time. And clearly, you understand, if they have a player that can take that position and he can get himself into it slower than he expects it to be, it will be fine. But if he quickly goes in it, I totally agree. He's going to unsettle it because he's not settled at the moment. And him coming in, it will make it even worse for himself. But away from that, guys, come on. Hey, I won everything at Liverpool. Now I can go to Real Madrid. You think I'm going to worry about this or that? I will figure it out on the way.
Of course.
And make sure that I'll be defending like my life is depending on it. And then I'll play for Real Madrid. I'm sorry, guys. You don't have to ask me that question twice.
So that's one man who's moving on a free in the summer. Another could be Leroy Sane, who's grabbed the headlines over the last 24 hours. Out of contract at Bayern, of course. A speculation as to where he might go. Apparently his family prefer London.
Oh.
That's upset. Derek is on his way to the Sane household right now to persuade them why. In fact, Germany is much better than England. Jan, looking at this, 29 years of age, what has he still got to offer and where can he go?
And the background thing is here that Bayern thought that he has already said yes. And I've seen in the German media as well that his family loves to live in Bayern. So, or in Munich. So, but I can understand London as well. I like London as well. I think that sometimes we criticize Leroy Sane too much because of his body language. When other players have a bad game and they have a great body language, we don't notice. But Leroy Sane, you can see him straight away, a bit like Özil in the way he's doing it. But I think he's had a quite good season. And apparently now he changed his agent because the offer from Bayern was not good enough. He accepted, apparently, said Ebel, the head of sport, reduced wages, but now suddenly that is a problem. So to be continued.
Jules, Arsenal?
Yeah, they're looking at him, of course, because he's a free agent, as we said, so no transfer fee, although, again, it's not free because there will be a big signing on fee and big wages, really. There's a bit of inconsistency. We've said that for many years now about Leroy Sane. This is nothing new. and he can be brilliant on his day, and he can also be disappointed on other days. But I think he's still a very, very good player, and it's certainly a player that I would sign for my club anytime, especially with no transfer fee involved in it. So I can see why they both, Arsenal and Chelsea and other clubs, are interested. 29 is not the right age for some clubs, like Chelsea, as we know, only sign players under the age of 25. But I guess you can always make an exception.
Do you make an exception if you're Chelsea, Mario?
Yeah. I know, look, the agent that you highlighted, Pini Sahabi, was in the time when I was at Chelsea. He came in when the whole transition happened. So I know that he has his ins there. You know what I mean? Okay, the different owners and different setups. So that doesn't surprise me when I heard that. And then for him to coming in, hey, look, at the end of the day, look, after his injury, I think that was the key thing when he got injured at City, that we saw, like, could he come back to the level that we expected him to be? Bayern, of course, he got his rhythm back, and the way he plays, he feels confident. They wanted to extend his deal. So now he's got the choice. You understand? And London, I totally agree with you guys. Great city to live.
Jurgen Klinsmann described him as a player who'll get you sacked.
And Jurgen Klinsmann is 100% correct. Look, if you're okay with having a guy who will have an outstanding match every 3 or 4 games, then this is your guy. He will show up, score a couple of goals, and you kind of go, man, look at Leroy Sane.
Yep.
Man, he's explosive. Man, he can make a difference. And then disappears for 4 or 5 games. Yeah. Then shows up again, and look at him. Look at him. And that's how he has gone over the course of his career. Now he's 29 years old, and he is what he is as a player. It's not going to get any better from this point on if you're Leroy Sane. And so if you are a team, you have to make sure that you understand that you're willing to accept the inconsistencies in performance and the productivity that come with Leroy Sane.
Finally,
we have freedom of speech in this round, of course. So I respect. I'll have an opinion on that. But this is Leroy Sane. When Pep lost him to Bayern, he said, "I didn't want to lose this player. I want to keep him." Vincent Kompany been happy with him this season. You saw his numbers there. He's a midfield going into a wing kind of guy. Quite good numbers for a midfielder. So that he get people sacked, I rate Jurgen Klinsmann, but I don't rate that opinion because that's not 100% right. Vincent Kompany and Bayern wanted to extend his contract, and that is a fact.
Yeah, but what's also a fact, Jan, is that they wanted to extend his contract on a hometown discount. That's also a fact. So if you're offering him a hometown discount, it's because you're saying, look, we'll give you this money, but we don't think you're worth that money.
What we all will notice when we get older, that they will give us less money. So just be aware. We'll all come to that stage.
We're already there. We are already there.
Speak for yourself. Just a reminder, Bayern Munich will celebrate, of course, the title as they take on Borussia Mönchengladbach. The beer will flow. Focusing very much on the FA Cup final coming up against Manchester City. For Forest, have they hit a blip at completely the wrong time of the season after, of course, being in the top 5 for the rest of the campaign? With 3 games to go, they find themselves 6th in the table, and according to the bookies, wow, that can't be right. That's wrong. There's no way Nottingham Forest are odds on to finish in the top 5, considering the odds of everybody else. But there we are. Let's not start that. Now's not the time to argue with ESPN Bet.
But you just did, Dan.
Well, I did, because that can't be right. There we are. Who's here? Jules, Mario, and Jan are with us. You look at the top 5, Mario, and it's actually been a very good weekend for your Chelsea, hasn't it?
Very good. Very good to see, the star boy. You understand, Palmer scored his penalty after 3 months not scoring. He gave an answer to it. He said, I don't care what people say because it makes me work harder. And I feel like I'm comfortable. You saw him growing in the game, you understand. When the game started from till the end, you saw, glimpses of him being himself again. And when it kicked off, it wasn't as much. But later on, I think they won convincingly. So that's why I feel like that position they can. What did I say prior to that? I said no. And I will keep it no. You know why? Because then it becomes a yes. Because when I say yes, no, my God, please don't do anything crazy, because you guys need the Champions League. You need the Champions League, guys. They know it. There's no secret about it.
Obviously, Chelsea, Newcastle's still to come as well. Forest have got that big game at the end of the season. Do you think it's the top 5 as we are, Jules?
I think so. I think for Forest, they just hit that deep of form at the wrong time, didn't they? And I think even for Villa, it might be difficult for them to come back into that top 5 with Chelsea, Newcastle, and obviously Manchester City, as well as Arsenal and Liverpool. So I think it might be the same. But the Chelsea-Newcastle game could be massive if they draw with each other and it wins behind them. Then we could have 2 final games, very, very exciting. And again, there's a Nottingham Forest-Chelsea game also to finish the season, which could be absolutely massive. So it's still, I don't think it's over, but you would say that the top 5 right now have the advantage, obviously.
Forgive me if I move on as we focus on... I'm sorry, Jan. I'm not really.
I'm
not really, no. Look at
Forest.
the bottom of the table. Of course, Manchester United sit in 15th. Another defeat for them this weekend. Forest, for Spurs, they managed to draw against West Ham. Both, of course, are favourites to advance the final of the Europa League, given their first leg results. United with that brilliant performance in Spain to beat Athletic Club. Meanwhile, Spurs, as was expected, getting past Bodo Glimt 3-1. Still second legs to come. But let's say it is United against Spurs in the final. And I'll start with you, Jan. Whoever wins that, does it save their season?
First of all, I think that Bodo Glimt will go into the final. That is my first point. I have to say that, and I give you the reasons for that.
No, I didn't really ask. I don't want to know the reason for that. So if it's Manchester United against Bodo Glimt in the final and United win, does it save their season?
Yeah, but if you say who will save the season of Tottenham, Manchester United, I think Bodo Glimt will come. But fair enough, if that is going to be the final, I think that Bodo Glimt will knock Spurs out. But having said that, I think neither of the manager of Spurs and Manchester United will survive the summer. I think that Manchester United learned last season that winning a final was not enough. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe has learned that. Will he do it again? I'm not sure about that. And the Spurs feeling, I hope for Ange Postecoglou, great man, great lad, but I doubt to win the Europa League is not enough for him either.
Mario, take me into the player's head. If you're a United or Spurs player, or Bodo Glimt player, and you win the Europa League, how much can you celebrate given what's happened for the rest of the campaign?
Oh, yeah, you celebrate. Why would you not celebrate? You win a trophy, you understand, people can talk about it, but this is clearly a trophy of something, if what you've been through as a club, and then being in the position to lift this up. Yeah, I would celebrate it like special. The key thing is always, as a footballer in a season, make sure when you lift that trophy that you have added some sweat to it. Don't lift the trophy when you're sitting and watching and you play one game and then you lift it up. It doesn't feel the same. But when I lift it up and I played so many games for that club, and then we go in and winning it, oh yeah, I feel good. It doesn't matter what club I'm on.
It's interesting, Jan brought up the fact that both managers could go, regardless. We obviously think that Ange is on his way out, Jules. Where's Amorim in this world?
Nah, Amorim is not getting sacked whether he wins the Europa League or not, whether he finishes 15th or 16th, he will stay. They clearly believe in him for mid-term to long-term, far more than Ange. Ange is gone at the end of the season, regardless of what happens, again, to Spurs in this competition and in the remaining games in the Premier League. But for Amorim, they will have a big summer. While he's hoping they will have a big summer, they would need to sell players before being able to sign new ones, the ones that he wants. But he will definitely be there at the start of next season.
Right, to the question about the players. When they win, whoever, either one of these teams win the Europa League, celebration, deluxe, royale, we are the champions. Yeah, right?
Not the champions of the world, though, because that'll get Frank going.
All right, well, we're thinking we are the champions and we're raising the trophy. But beyond that emotional moment that is going to be a lift for the club and the fan and the manager and the front office and everybody, when you go and evaluate and analyze your season, you have to be very clear. If you're an evaluator, if you're the front office, if you're the board, that you allocate the proper percentage of weight to the value of that specific trophy and what it means for you to win that trophy. And does that supersede or outweigh what has been a turgid season? What has been awful, historically bad for both teams. in the case of Manchester United, when you look at Manchester United and they've lost 16 matches this season, that's saying something. And this is a brand that has been tarnished over the last few years, but a huge brand across the world nonetheless. Regardless, you put the Europa League trophy over here on the side and you say, well, that's worth however percentage. The rest of that percentage has to be a very objective evaluation of what this club is, what it has been, and more importantly, what it's going to be with one of these managers in charge. If that equation, that percentage doesn't add up, git. If you don't feel comfortable with any of it in that evaluation process, the Europa League cannot be enough to forget all of this. It cannot be. If you do that, you are turning your back on reality, and you have already done that if you're Manchester United because you won FA Cup. And in Spurs, I don't know what kind of choice you have. I think Ange Postecoglou's gone regardless.
What's interesting, Jan, for example, Aston Villa have won a lot of fans, rightly so, this season for the performances they put in, yet they could not qualify for the Champions League and end the season without any silverware. Manchester United could win some silverware and qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at Villa Park on Saturday and they played Fulham. If Fulham won that game, they would be 3 points behind Aston Villa. And Aston Villa done fantastic games. They nearly did a miracle against PSG, but could end up with no silverware. Having said that, to add to what Al's analysis, is that Manchester United, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they're there to build Manchester United back among the best. A trophy like the Europa League, the League Cup, or the FA Cup won't help you there. They have to see a development. Everybody that works with Amorim like him. He's good for journalists. He's always there. He's there for you. But can you imagine that Manchester United at that position on the table, and don't come with that thing that is not his team. I can give you 15 managers in the top 5 leagues who don't have their team, and they still manage to get that sorted. So if he saves his position as a Manchester United manager, it's not because he won the Europa League. It's because they think that he can, some of a miracle, the head of recruitment at Manchester United will find gold somewhere. Somewhere we don't know at the moment, because who will like to come to Manchester United now to improve them? And if they're going to play for his system, they need 8, 9 new players. And they have to start, like Jules saying, to sell players. And who will take these players after a season like this? So please, that thing that he's 100% safe, I'm not having that.
Just to confirm, as we're talking for hunting for gold, those odds were to finish in the top 6, not the top 5. Therefore, there was a little bit of confusion. Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much. Boys, how would you get on with trying that attempt that we saw as goal number 1, Mario?
I even know his name. Kevin, what did you do there? Behind the foot? Oh my God. Yeah, listen, kid, keep practicing them skills and use them when you need them, because you just showed us that it was effective what you did.
Oh, I like a little bit of mentoring coming from Mario. For you, Jan, what would happen if you tried that now?
Hospital, I guess.
Again, back to the race with the fish.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That would go viral. I was, by the way, this last week I was there where I had my famous race. That's a famous racetrack where I was there, and yes, I was reminded of that fish. Let's put it that way. Good. I'm pleased.
Is there a plaque? Is there a plaque on the track?
Yes, there should be.
It's got to be.
Of the fish.
Where the fish caught Jan.
Yes. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jules, it looks like you in Paris already. Excited? Oh, nervous?
I'm very excited. To tell you who's really good at Rabonas, Aurélien Tchouameni, right foot and left foot. It's one thing to do it with your stronger foot, but he can also do it with his weaker foot, which is pretty special.
Oh, that's good. Maybe you should try defending occasionally.
Yes.
Right.
with Rabona or without Rabona. Either way.
Oh, dear. You hate Real Madrid. OK. Let's start off with Mario. If you were in Trent's shoes, would you leave your boyhood club for free, even though your team just won the Premier League and could win many more trophies in following seasons?
It's an interesting question, but really quick to answer, because when I left Chelsea, we won the double. Prior to that, the year after, we won the cup, and I went to Chelsea. So, look, it's a boyhood. I had similarities. I grew up. I was 9 years old when I joined that team, and I became a pro at Chelsea. So I don't want to qualify myself as him because he won a lot more trophies. But you also have to understand, the kid has a dream in the sense of like going where he wants to go. If I'm a Liverpool fan, I'll be sad. But if I'm not a fan, I'll be like, I understand. He wants to change jobs and wants to see what is out there for him. So on that scale, I totally understand him. And I don't think anybody should have anything against him, and also not against the fans for missing him and being emotional about him leaving.
But there seems to be that emotion seems to have crossed the line, maybe, Jan, for you?
Well, yes, because I think we have to define sad. I do understand the Liverpool fans don't want any of their best players leave. I do understand that. He's a local lad. He's been doing well for them. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, if you sing on every game, you'll never walk alone. And when you leave the club, you walk alone. So I said that on Twitter today. I have never, and I knew that, I have never seen the tide of abuse coming my way. And then we can just imagine what's going on with Trent Alexander-Arnold at the moment. I don't like that. I do understand that the fans are sad. I do understand that they don't want to miss one of their best players for free. I do understand that it's tough for a player gonna stay there and do the right comments when your future is not 100% sorted. I get that. Having said that, I think it's great that the English kid wants to see the world, as I did with Harry Kane went to Bayern Munich, took his family there, open your life, see new things. I love that.
Exactly. Yes.
More importantly, is Trent Alexander-Arnold better than ESPN FC's Steve Nicol? I will take this if you don't mind. Liverpool, of course, were part of the team when I was growing up. I was born in 1980. During that time, with Steve Nicol playing at full-back, amongst other positions, he won 5 league titles, a European Cup, would have been more European trophies as well. Of course, it wasn't for English clubs being banned. Stevie is going to take some beating when it comes to that legendary status as part of a team that included Ian Rush, Kenny Dalglish, Graham Souness. Trent Alexander is here. Stevie Nicol is up there. And that's no disrespect to Trent and what he's done and the reason he wants to leave. But Stevie, you sometimes forget, because he's here and he's a funny old man and he only eats mints and he cleans his glasses with paper, how incredible. This was a guy who was the best player in England in 1989 as a defender. Oh, well, a bit emotional for Stevie then. Well, it's because Stevie's been away. Stevie's been away, you see. Oh, yeah.
Hey, we know who's your friend then. We know who's your friend. But it's good. I totally agree with you. Thank you for informing everybody.
Yeah. I think it's very easy for people to forget how incredible this guy was. But he's still alive and I'm talking to him as if he's kind of gone. He's just on holiday. He'll be back on Thursday.
But we need you to negotiate his contract.
We all agree with you.
What an agent.
Jan, how difficult is it for teams to play Bodo Glimt? Who would you say are favourites on Thursday, Bodo or Spurs? Oh, what timing, Jan? You were talking about this in the show, trying to.
No, yeah, well, yeah, good timing. I was at Tottenham. I saw the game. I worked on that game. I saw when Bodo Glimt got that 3-1. I saw a team that celebrated that as a win. Why did they do that? Well, I watched the Lazio game. They should have won 6-0 against Lazio at home. So afterwards, we had Postecoglou pitch side. We were talking about now, for them in the mind of Tottenham, this game is getting more and more north. At the end, they will play in North Pole with Santa Claus. Secondly, the pitch will be worse and worse. I got from the producer of the Norwegian TV, sent me pictures of the TV trucks on their way to Bodø, of course stopped by snow. I love that. There we are. Yeah, here we go. Look at that. So they're on their way, and the AstroTurf will be an advantage for them. Do I think it's a big surprise if Bodo Glimt scored 2 goals against Tottenham? Not at all. I was there when they beat Roma with Jose Mourinho 6-1. And is there one team that can go to Bodo Glimt and lose 3-0, 3-1? That is Tottenham Hotspur. That is just simple. I don't think that everybody talking about an all-English final. I'm not there.
Jan, what I thought was I've got to ask you this, because you obviously have interviewed Ange, and at the start, as you mentioned, he was he's kind of that happy-go-lucky Australian. Now, you take a look at his interviews, he's grumpy, I know everything's going wrong, but he doesn't even look you in the eye. Does that not annoy you as an interview? Do you not want to whack him with a microphone and say, look, I'm a human being, I'm here as well. Look me in the eye. Surely you were brought up better than that.
Wow.
It really annoys me.
Apparently.
Yeah. Coincidentally, on Thursday, he was looking in our eyes. He was very good on Thursday. One of the best of the interviews he done. But yes, and it's hard to get something out of him when he looks at your shoes. Absolutely. Yeah. And I got very expensive shoes, so I thought I was that at the beginning. But he just does that with everybody. But I must say for Postecoglou, I like Postecoglou. He's a good lad. But I do understand what you're saying, Dan, because he got that monotone look and looking down. So it's hard to get something out of him in those situations.
Yeah, Jules, you must have interviewed people that don't look you in the eye. It must annoy you.
Yeah, I'm with you on Ange. I like him. I agree with Jan. He's a good guy. But this not looking in your eyes just drives me absolutely mad. And I don't know if it was the same with Jan, but when I interviewed him, he said hello looking at his shoes. So he would say hello to you, not looking at you in the eye. So not answering. But I also think not answering, looking at the camera for the people who are watching at home is bad already, because you're watching your television as a Spurs fan or non-Spurs fan, and you can't even see his eyes. And he's talking to you, it doesn't reach you. He can't reach you because there's no interaction with you, because he's not looking at the camera, which is where he will be looking at you through your television. And I've got issue with it. Well, I won't lie.
Can I say, Dan? Having said that, having said that, Jules, there are managers who see you in the eyes and gives you nothing. So that I won't mention any names. But I would just say, in terms of shoes, I once interviewed Conte when he was at Tottenham.
Yes.
I was at Old Trafford, and I had these shoes. I won't say the name of the shoes, but they were good shoes. I am quite tall, and Conte came in with the same shoes that made him a bit taller, and he's not as tall as me. That is the understatement of the day. And he came into where we were standing, and he looked at me and he said, "We have the same shoes." And he kind of felt together, and so he knew that it was no advantage for him to have those shoes making him bigger, because I was a giant.
All right. The whole story is Jan is taller than Conte. That's where we went.
By the way, Dan, I didn't want it to go unnoticed. Did you? Is this the sort of power that you have on this show, that when you started giving the answer about Stevie, the studio changed colors? It went all red.
Yes.
This doesn't happen for anybody else.
Well, this is it, you see.
Is this? No, I mean, when you answer a question, then the studio changes
It happens
color?
so rarely that I jump in and answer a question, because I don't like the sound of my own voice. I like to hear everybody else's, obviously.
Right.
But on that occasion...
Yeah, and then the studio had to accommodate.
I think the studio got emotional.
Yes, exactly. I brought everybody in.
The color. I
Yes,
think
yes.
the studio got emotional when we talked about Steve. Everybody just said,
exactly.
no, let's get into that Zen moment and just listen.
Hey.
Mario, just going back to interview technique, because I find it quite interesting. As a player and you've done
Go ahead
badly...
and change the subject.
If you're a player and you've had a bad game, you're obliged, obviously, to go out and speak to the media if you're the recommended one. Is it too harsh of me to want you to look at me? Look at me, goddammit.
What?
No, I would look at you, but it's easier for you to get to me, because I'm emotional. I lost the game, so my emotions are already driving high. And then the journalists always ask you questions that you don't want to answer, and they will keep pressing on it. And sometimes, you know what's the worst part for every footballer? When the journalist talks to you, but he himself cannot play football. Oh my God, that is like your head explodes, because you almost want to ask him, why are you talking to me? Are you going to advise me not to tell me what to do? And then you got them, because then they're also getting emotional. Then it becomes a rel. That's not good, but you better just leave it, answer him, and walk away.
I go back to an interview that we showed yesterday. Granit Xhaka and Leverkusen dropped points to Freiburg, which meant that Bayern Munich officially champions the Bundesliga. And the question by the journalist to Granit Xhaka was, not a question, but are you going to congratulate Bayern Munich? Are you kidding me? I would look at him straight in the eyes. Yes, there would be eye contact there. There would be eye contact, and there would be a whole lot more coming behind it.
Oh, man. Oh.
No, I'm just saying. Sometimes journalists.
But Dan,
with all due
now
respect to Jules.
Jules, Mario's saying that you don't have the right to interview players because you've never played at that higher level. Do you agree?
I've played at a good level enough to be allowed to ask questions, but some don't. I won't name names, but somebody I do a show very closely with never played at any sort of level in football. I'm just saying.
Wow.
They never kicked the ball, man. Kick the ball straight.
Also, Gab.
Yes. On the next Gab and Jules podcast, Gab will have bus wheel marks over.
But hey, the good thing is that Gab makes eye contact, so there you go. That's good.
Well, yeah, to make sure you're listening.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. We
And
went on a
Jules, too.
tangent.
Jules make eye contact too. That's good. That's good.
Okay. Right. Back on contact. Everyone's got to make eye contact with everybody. Mario, what is the most important area Chelsea need to strengthen this summer?
I think they need to check on the defense to make sure that they bring more experience in and as an attack. I always said that. Level up the competition exactly on those 2 points because it will bring the quality up of the team and the understanding of where direction they want to go. Because now it's young boys listening to young boys. I want to see experience in the team.
Jules, are we ready to start calling Kylian Mbappe a team killer? Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
Come on.
Oh, come on. I agree with you, Jules.
Yeah, come on. You don't want me to answer this question. You know the answer already.
Dear. What do you say to people who say that Mbappe is a team killer, Jules?
They're wrong, and this is a stupid statement. That's what I would say. Can he do more? Of course he can do more. Can he track back more? Of course he can. But he scored 36 goals as well this season. So if he's a team killer, what about Rodrigo and what about Vinicius and what about Bellingham and what about all the others? It's not just about him. Can he do more? Of course he could. He would be the first one to admit that. I still don't think it's a bad season. He's 1 goal short from the record by Zamorano for the most goals scored ever in the first season by any Real Madrid player ever. So I'm sorry, that can't be judged as a bad season and him as a team killer.
If Mbappe is a team killer, there are a lot of killers around.
Thank you, Jan.
You're welcome.
It's deep. See, it's deep. It's a deep comment. You got to think about it. It's a thinker
you're bad.
one. You got to be a thinker for that one.
Sorry, I challenge your intellect. Sorry, I will not do it.
I
again.
know. Yeah, that's
No,
fine.
hey, I'm with you, Dan. Jan, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm not with Dan. I'm with you, Jan.
Oh, God. Question for Mario. As a defender, if you're up against someone with a height advantage, what would be the most ideal way to defend that player on a set piece?
Very important. I remember, Ferguson from Everton. First time I ever played in England with Ajax. And there was exactly a great lesson that actually made me want to come to England. You got to jump before he starts jumping. It does not matter how tall the player is. Make sure you get up before him. Because if you get up at the same timing as him, you will get as high as he is. And if he's taller, he's going to flick the ball. But if you go up just one second earlier, he's always late. And then you headed the ball.
I think it's well in those situations you have as an attacker an advantage if you can get hold of the defender. So I think that when I was quite tall striker, but what I had problem with, whatever height of the defender, if I couldn't feel them where they were, as Mario was saying, because they can jump in, I didn't control them and all those kind of things, then my height didn't help. So if a defender is too close, people say mark closer, but sometimes that's an advantage for the attacker.
Jan, who gets the final Champions League spot in the Bundesliga?
I think that Bayern, Leverkusen, Frankfurt. Frankfurt is playing St. Pauli at home in the weekend. I think they will get that. Dortmund is playing away at Leverkusen. That is an interesting game. Dortmund on fire now. So I will say that Dortmund will take the 4th position in the Bundesliga and get into the Champions League.
Final question for Mario. Play, bench or sell the following 90s Ajax strikers. Dennis Bergkamp, Patrick Kluivert, Jari Litmanen.
Oh, easy. Bergkamp was a guy I had pictures on my wall. When I wanted to make a duck, he was one of the first that said, He doesn't talk to anybody. He literally did the interview for my documentary. So yeah, number one. Kluivert, I know I played with, incredible player. So he be it. And Liedman, I will have as my last. And I know Ajax people will go like, oh, go crazy. No. This is the journey what I'll follow. Bergkamp,
Right. Yeah.
dream. Then when I started my dream, Kluivert, because I played with, because he did extraordinary thing. The only thing what Kluivert had is the injuries. Because as a player, I don't think you have seen greatness of him, but he could have been so much even more what he has showed. And the final scoring of the Champions League changed his life. Unbelievable.
Jan, do you want to say anything before we go? Any more insights?
Deep thoughts. Deep thoughts with Jan.
I would just say that I'm taller than Conte. That's all I want to say.
Oh, that's good. But you both have the same taste in shoes. That is it. Thank you very much. ESPN FC returns tomorrow. We'll be reflecting on hopefully will be another classic in the Champions League. It is, of course, Inter against Barcelona.